Hello there, and welcome back to Shady Tales. If you've been around here for a while, then you already know something about me. I've always had a fascination with Bigfoot. Not as a joke, not as a meme, but because the deeper you go into the encounters, the harder it becomes to explain them away. Over the years, I've shared shorter stories and strange moments involving this creature. But tonight, I wanted to do something different. So I decided to make a longer video, diving into some of the most terrifying Bigfoot encounters that were reported as real events. These aren't campfire legends or internet creepypasta. These are encounters told by real people across different decades in different parts of the country, all describing something massive, intelligent, and disturbingly aware. Encounters where something watched from the trees, followed silently through the wilderness, or made its presence known in ways that left witnesses shaken for life. So get comfortable, dim the lights, and decide for yourself. Because after hearing these encounters, you may start to wonder if Bigfoot has been watching us the entire time. In the summer of 1924, deep in the rugged wilderness near Mount St. Helens, Washington, a group of 5 prospectors experienced one of the earliest and most violent Bigfoot encounters ever recorded. The men were working and sleeping in a remote canyon when they began noticing strange signs around their camp. Massive footprints appeared in the dirt, far larger than any humans, and strange sounds echoed through the trees at night. At first, they brushed it off, until one afternoon, one of the men spotted a towering, ape-like figure standing on a nearby ridge. It was upright, covered in dark hair, and watching them. Believing they were in danger, one of the prospectors fired a rifle at the creature. It staggered, but didn't fall. That night, everything escalated. As the men huddled inside their small cabin, rocks began crashing down from the cliffs above. Large stones slammed into the roof and walls for hours. The men reported hearing heavy footsteps circling the cabin, deep growls, and strange vocalizations echoing through the canyon. They barricaded the door and waited, convinced the walls would give way at any moment. By morning, the attack abruptly stopped. When the men stepped outside, they found massive footprints surrounding the cabin. Barefoot, human-like, and pressed deep into the ground as if whatever made them was incredibly heavy. All 5 men told the same story, and the area would forever be known as Ape Canyon. Now, if you're thinking, okay, that sounds terrifying, but that was over 100 years ago. That's fair. A lot of people like to believe whatever this thing is, it figured out electricity, cameras, and common sense and just disappeared. Unfortunately, that's not how this story goes. 34 years later, in 1958, something strange happened at a remote logging site in Bluff Creek, Northern California. When workers arrived one morning, they found their heavy equipment damaged. Bulldozers had been moved, tires were torn apart, and surrounding everything were enormous footprints. The tracks measured over 16 inches long and were deeply pressed into the ground. The stride was far too long to belong to a human. Plaster casts were made and photos were taken. When the story reached newspapers, it introduced the world to a name that would become legendary: Bigfoot. Several workers later claimed they had seen a large, hairy figure watching them from the tree line. It never charged or approached. It simply stood there, observing in silence. Skeptics dismissed the incident as a hoax, but decades later, experts analyzing the footprint casts noticed details that were extremely difficult to fake, including flexible mid-foot movement consistent with a living, walking creature. Whatever left those tracks didn't just wander through the area. It seemed to understand that it was being watched. At this point, some people will say, sure, footprints are creepy, but footprints don't mean danger. And that's true. But sometimes, the most unsettling thing isn't what charges at you. It's what knows you're there and chooses not to. In October of 1967, Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin were riding on horseback along Bluff Creek, the same region already plagued by strange reports. That's when they saw her. A massive, hair-covered figure stood near the creek bed. Nearly 7 feet tall, muscular, and moving with a calm, confident stride. Patterson scrambled to film as the creature walked across the clearing, and then it turned its head. That single glance, slow, deliberate, and unmistakably aware, became one of the most chilling moments in cryptid history. Bob Gimlin later said the creature never ran, it never panicked, it simply walked away, as if it knew it would never be caught. Over the years, the footage was analyzed frame by frame. Experts studied muscle movement, limb proportions, and walking mechanics. Many concluded that no costume available at the time could convincingly replicate what appeared on that film. To this day, the Patterson-Gimlin footage remains the most famous and controversial Bigfoot encounter ever recorded. Seeing something is one thing. Being seen back is something else entirely. And once that line gets crossed, the encounters stop feeling like chance and start feeling intentional. In the early 1970s, deep in the Sierra Nevada mountains, hunters began reporting something even more unsettling than sightings: voices. At night, strange vocalizations echoed through the forest. Not animal calls, not human speech, something in between. The sounds included deep growls, high-pitched whoops, and rhythmic patterns that seemed structured, almost conversational. Several recordings were captured. When analyzed years later, linguistic experts noted pacing, repetition, and turn-taking, traits commonly associated with intelligent communication. Witnesses claimed the sounds responded to their movements. When they shifted their camp, the vocalizations followed. One hunter later said it felt like they weren't being hunted, but studied. Whatever made those sounds understood the terrain, understood distance, and understood people, and it chose to remain hidden, just out of sight. And when encounters move beyond footprints or sightings, when they involve interaction, that's usually when people realize they weren't prepared for what they found. These encounters span decades, different locations, and completely different people, yet they all describe something eerily similar, something massive, intelligent, and aware of us. Whether you believe Bigfoot is a flesh and blood creature, something undiscovered, or something else entirely, one thing is hard to ignore. People keep seeing it, people keep hearing it, and people keep walking away shaken by what they experienced. Maybe Bigfoot isn't a myth. Maybe it's a reminder that there are still places in this world where we are not at the top of the food chain. And maybe it's been watching us far longer than we realize. Thank you for spending your time here with me on Shady Tales. Until next time, keep your eyes on the tree line.